So my people on TikTok will hear your voice and hear mine. So
Okay.
that will be good. So Ryan is here now, and we are doing this live. Normally, we're a few minutes late, 7 or so minutes, because we had technical difficulties. Somebody said when you have technical difficulties, hi, Rosie Rose. We're talking to the tax man today. Rosie is joining us from California. That's the only time she comes, is when I have a late afternoon live, because it's 3 hours behind us.
Right.
So today, every Wednesday and Saturday at 1 p.m., I do financial prosperity in turbulent times. So because of that, hi Rosie, don't go, hang on with us. We need you to hear us. I wanted to talk about taxes. I know a lot, but I'm not an expert. So I brought in an expert tax preparer, and he prepares taxes for corporations, for individual, for sole proprietorship, and he also advises people on the best tax breaks that are available in both countries. Because you're in America, if you haven't filed yet, you lost. You're going to be in trouble. The 16th was your file date. In Canada, it's the 30th of this month. But Ryan can help you, whichever one you're doing, because he has the knowledge, which I had to do that too. We studied for Canada, but we had to study kind of worldwide for counseling, financial, and all of that. So it's a similar thing for him. So Ryan can tell us a little bit about his business and what he does and what type of people. So you guys should be able to hear him clearly on TikTok, although you cannot see him.
Okay. So Tessa-Marie, where do you want me to start
Oh,
on
but
my journey?
start anywhere. It's your journey. It's not mine. You can start with your journey and tell the others how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Well, like so many of us from the community, whether you're in Toronto, Brampton, Mississauga, Alberta, Windsor, Manitoba,
USA.
USA, America, California, New York, Philadelphia, no matter where you're from, we all have this intrinsic thing in us where we desire to live a fulfilled life and be able to buy all the things that we desire without having to think about it. Like so many people that we admire to be famous, for example, right? So that was my journey a little bit. And for a long time, I was working part-time for myself while holding down a full-time job, for lack of better words. So, I'd finish my 9 to 5, come home, do some work on my business for clients, doing tax preparation, and bookkeeping, everything that a CA would teach its employees at a public accounting firm. And I was doing that on the side for a number of years, and then I decided to take it a little bit more seriously, and I ended up getting an employee that was a co-worker at my job. And he did work for me part-time. I continued to develop and increase my income. And in doing so, I was, for lack of better word and not getting too into it, I was put in a position where it was uh, almost like a dismissal with the hope, with the promise of being more there. So what did I do? I put my faith in God. I prayed that the business and the clients that I accumulated over the years and the experience I developed was enough to get me to the next level. And what I soon realized is that my sales went through the roof every day. And for all those that are in this live, and I don't know who's in this live, but I hope that this message goes out to reach someone, that when you're in your deepest, darkest hours and there's nothing you can do but rely on God, and that's all you do, and that's all you can do, regardless of if you're doing well or if you're doing poorly. Um, that belief in God is enough to have within yourself so that you can reach new heights and you don't have to depend on an employer. So, sorry. And what I did was, in this transition from moving from to employment to full-time working for myself, I broke it down. I said, okay, what is my net salary that I'm getting a day from my employment? Can I realistically generate that much money doing all the things that a business owner and all the hats that they've got to wear in order to encourage business and growth and generate income? Can I do that for myself and generate more than the money that I was getting from my employment?
So what?
And
So can I
I did
break
that.
into you? So now that you got to the point where you are now,
Mhm.
what is the one thing that you're doing that's going to help the people that are out there that like you? The one thing that you can say, the one good thing you did, like you, the person that's out there that's an entrepreneur and is working in a company and they're afraid to step into the water and do their best and give it. You talk about God, but the faith, hi sister, the faith you have to have in God has to be very, very strong.
Right.
And is that a guarantee that because you have faith, you're going to meet it? Or is there something else that comes with having faith?
I, I think it's a combination of um, faith um, to a very high level, but also doing the work to ensure that this faith in this goal that you're going after is almost locked in and stamped that it will be granted to you.
Okay.
So,
So when you say that, what is that? What is that feeling like? Because it's faith has to have feeling.
mhm,
So what
right,
is that feeling like that you're
right,
telling somebody that is the entrepreneur on TikTok, entrepreneur on Instagram, those that will hear us when we post it
right.
later? What is the what is that feeling you get when you have faith and and you and you want that thing and you're working after it? I have something for me, it's the feeling that I am worthy.
Right.
I'm good enough. How does that resonate with you or with those of you out there?
Right. Now, I think actually I know this level of self-fulfillment that I've had since working with you and applying it to my everyday routine before I even start my day, and then getting to the point where I can just rely on that faith throughout the day, um, and um, you know, do all the things that my intuition says that I should be doing in order to fulfill those goals. So the feeling in the short is like $1 million. I'll tell you a short story, right? So I've worked with Tessa-Marie for a little while now, and she's kind of coached my
Yes.
business years. Actually, it's kind of a mindset, right? So once you develop a mindset that, and you accept the fact that this is the way that things need to be done in an orderly fashion in order to achieve your goals, and you stay on top of those things and you consistently and continually do those things, you will see the achievement of success, and it will be a regular occurrence. So have some of you on watching this video right now, have you been feeling like you've been in a rat race? Like no matter how much you work, you just can't get ahead. You're not getting ahead financially. Yes, the gas prices went down, but is that the only thing that you're concerned about? Is your income going up? Is there more you could be doing? When you sit back and you take the time to get away from the television, sit down in front of a chair, maybe dim the lights a little bit, and have that inner talk with self and be realistic and to hear those results that you're going to hear, right? And then do all the things that you need to do in order to make sure that within yourself, you're satisfied with what you've been doing to for make yourself aware that you're conscious of the things that you may be lacking on doing and doing those things in your daily life to complete them. um, so I would say that once you're conscious of that, you always have something to do. And as a business owner, that's especially important. So I guess just getting that $1 million feeling when you know you've prayed about something and it's come to fruition. Some of you in here or watching this video has heard that book or watched that book, The Secret, where you're manifesting your own goals and dreams and desires, right? It's a real thing. And Tessa-Marie has shown me how to do that. And in my business, I've seen massive improvements. I've seen so many satisfied clients. And taxes, no matter where you are, is important to file them on time, regularly. Like I get some clients, Tessa-Marie, that have come to me with um, you know, a tax problem with, hey man, I got 10 years outstanding taxes and I want you to file my GST HST return. So I said, brother, I love you, but I'm the work that I'm going to do on this, you'll be so satisfied that you'll do a video for me, you'll do a Google review. So many people satisfied, because I have that high quality of standard that if I put something down and it doesn't belong there, I'm going to put it away right away instead of having to my future self have to depend on that person to put that past self thing away. For lack of a better word, I mean, I've just been promoting everything I've been learning from Tessa-Marie to my clients and have them walk a fulfilled life in terms of taxation. So it's been quite the experience, and I think no matter where you are, you have to get an accountant that knows how to be a tax strategist, because there are tax preparers out there, and I'm not a tax preparer. I'm a tax strategist.
He's
So you come to
strategizing
me with your
on your
problem
behalf.
and I analyze it and I go through and I provide the best outcome that's favorable for whether it's your corporation, your personal taxes, your spouse, whether they're in the picture. The whole scope is looked. And unfortunately, there's accountants out there that say they have the ability to do it, but when it comes down to it, you pay out of your pocket in more tax costs than you should be if you had got a tax strategist like myself.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions that's going to help those people up here on TikTok and people on Instagram that will go back and forth. And one of the things I know from, I worked for a while after this book came out. I worked at Jane and Finch, which is in a low income area of Toronto. And one of the things I saw, and I went and I tested it to see if it worked. They had a big famous, it's in North America, it's in USA, it's in Canada. I don't know where else they are in the world, but they are famous as tax preparer. They have offices. They train people from June of last year to do the taxes for this year. So they're really deep into it. But one of the enticement that I saw, and I want to know how people can educate themselves to avoid it. So they advertised at that time that, and they still do, that we can prepare your taxes for you and we can give you your refund right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I was questioning that with the people that I was coaching on financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went with one of them and sat through it
Mm-hmm.
purposely to see, because I knew something was wrong. If they're giving you your tax refund in your hand right now, how much of it are they giving you?
Mm-hmm.
And they give it to you on a card,
Mm-hmm.
not a check, not cash on hand, a card.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found out is that every time the person put the card in the machine, it cost them $2 to take the money out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the money they got, the fee, they say no fee.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to pay me.
Mm-hmm.
But they took money from the tax refund and gave you what
Mm-hmm.
was left.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it takes 10 days or so if you have a simple tax return for the government to send you your check. So
Right.
when you meet people who tells you that story, how do you educate the people that you meet to avoid these kind of places?
It's sad. It's a sad reality that people from low income communities, and to be honest with you, I just find that it's not only people from low income communities, It's just people in general don't have the tax understanding and knowledge of what to look for and all the different deductions and tax credits that you can claim in order to maximize your refund according to the Income Tax Act, right? So when you hear a story when you're in your regular day-to-day life about someone being able to maximize your refund because they're going to do something fancy, I would definitely take precautions about that, and I would definitely seek someone who has knowledge to guide you properly. Because the truth of the matter is, if you shouldn't be getting a really huge refund unless it's substantiated by documents and credits and deductions and credits that are approved by a facility that you can use. Okay, so for example, I have a client that came to me. They had an accountant before that advertised that they could get them a huge refund on their tax return and be paid for like 18 years, a refund, right? So when they came to me, I didn't know that was what they were, the reason why they owed several thousands of dollars. But when I looked into their funds, speaking to them later on, they said basically that the accountant signed them up for a child tax benefit that they for a child that they didn't even have. So the government was paying them the child tax benefit so that it looked like they had a child, and the child now that money that the government was paying them for the child tax benefit was stopped after it accumulated a certain amount. Okay, and now in the future she now has her first child in reality. And because she owes money on her child tax benefit, she's unable to get the money from her child tax benefit
because
because
she's,
the money they recoup is from the child tax
yeah.
benefit.
They, so they, so the accountant led her the wrong way. Um,
Yeah.
Another thing I found out, when an
Mm-hmm.
accountant gets you to deduct everything. I'll give you my example that I had, and it was through the bank because we had a customer, and he
Mm-hmm.
was a big capitalaire in the subdivisions when they started in
Mm-hmm.
Macomb in the early 80s. And
Mm-hmm.
he kept millions and millions of yards of carpet because he was installing them in all these new homes in that whole
Mm-hmm.
city.
Mm-hmm.
And he never declared, he always had, we didn't know that at the time, but he came in and we and had hundreds of thousands of dollars deposited. We don't know his business, we just know
Mm-hmm.
he's doing that.
Right.
He has a wife and three kids, and he owns a house.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, the tellers came to me and they said there are two people from the revenue, the IRS in the bank, and
Mm-hmm.
they want to empty his account. They have his name, his social insurance number, and he owes them $1.9 million in taxes
Wow.
because it was 20 years and interest on it. He never paid it. Hi, Nancy.
Right.
So what the teller came to me and she said, well, but I know his mortgage is coming out at midnight tonight. So can I give them all the money he has in a draft and keep the amount he needs for his mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to look at her and say, well, then you will lose your job. I will lose my job.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody here will be fired and they'll
Right.
close this branch. We
Right.
cannot do that. The
Right.
government has the right for that because you owe them the money. You cheat. So
Mm-hmm.
what he was doing, how
Mm-hmm.
can you support a family of five on $5,000 net income?
Yeah.
His
Right. Mm-hmm.
accountant got him to write off every single solitary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Write it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so for
Mm-hmm.
years, he said, so the government is not stupid. How can you successfully run a business with a net income of $5,000?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
they confiscated all his account,
Mm-hmm.
all the money in his account, every single cent he had, and it still wasn't enough. In
Mm-hmm.
the end, he lost his home. He
Mm-hmm.
was really upset. But then when it came time to go to the government to make a settlement, the
Mm-hmm.
accountant told him it would cost you $2,000 an hour. And the reason why the accountant told him that is because No, if the accountant shows up at the government office with him and he was the cause of this man's problem, the government is going to make sure that all his clients are audited because they figure he's done it to the clients. So, but what I want you to concentrate on for me now is the person who has an income or pension. What kind of deductions that they can have and create throughout the year that will help them to get a refund back from the government?
Absolutely. Good question. So if you're married and you're getting old age security or CPP, you can definitely benefit from income splitting with your spouse. So that's one thing. You can definitely benefit from giving donations to churches or charities. It's a funny thing in Canada though. You'll get a credit for the charity to the church or the political party. So political parties actually in Canada get more bang for your buck per dollar you donate to political
Yes.
parties rather than churches.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's a rioting going on in your city, donate to them and you get more money back in terms of dollar for dollar impact for your net refund. Also,
Could you
if you
explain?
actually renovate your bathroom or say for example, you get bath fitter done in your bathroom to make it more accessible in your older age, you can write off the expenses underneath medical expenses for your accessible bathroom. Um, that's another one that you can use. The other one that you can use
A
is
new furnace, sometimes new
yes. So
insulation
if you
and
have energy
roofing.
efficient appliances
Yeah.
that you purchase, you can write those off. If you have medical, dental, or optical expenses that are paid for out of pocket, you can use those to reduce your taxes or generate a refund, especially if they're out of pocket. What else is there?
Could you explain income splitting? Because a
Right,
lot of people cohabitate.
right,
You have a boyfriend and a girlfriend, a husband. You've talked about it for
right,
seniors, but it affects any two people together.
right,
Even if you are not a man and woman, it could be two men, two women. It affects that
right.
income splitting. If you are living
Mhm,
together, you have a spouse of some kind. So
mhm.
explain what income splitting is and why it is a good thing to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. So if you're common law or if you're married, you can take advantage of the old age security income splitting or even income splitting in general with a lower income spouse in the family, in the relationship. So say for example, you have a family where the higher income earner is earning $100,000
Even less,
and the
right?
pardon?
They could be earning 50 and the other one earning 30 or 70.
Right, 50 or 30, whatever is
Any
higher,
amount.
whatever is lower, right?
Yeah.
The tax system, the way how it works here in Canada and also in the United States
United
is
States too.
that it kind of distributes the extra income to the lower person to even out the income and adjust the refund and the taxes owed so for each person so that it kind of balances out. Now, in my tax software and in many people's tax softwares, um, it has the ability to optimize it. So, say for example, one spouse has with a higher income has some medical donations, medical receipts. Sorry, some prescriptions and some dental receipts, you can offset and optimize how much you distribute the medical and dental and optical receipts to each partner, and
Mm-hmm.
also split the income with the tax software to see and adjust the refund amount. So, for example, I'll give you a further example. My software automatically maximizes the refund for each taxpayer and gives them the most maximum refund possible. So in doing so, sometimes I may need to adjust it and say, okay, well, minimize the taxes and then distribute the split pension income by
between the
dollar for
two.
dollar between the two, using a certain number that's more optimal to reduce one's taxes and minimize the refund so that's more balanced.
So that's
So,
income
yeah,
splitting is really a good way when you have a high earning spouse and a low earning spouse. That
absolutely.
usually end up the high earning spouse ends up paying less taxes because you're dancing with the numbers. But it's what
Absolutely.
you're supposed to do. That is given to do. Another thing that I want to what are the in Canada and 401k too, we have the opportunity to make a contribution to our retirement account. Talk
Right.
about
Okay, so we're able to donate, contribute money to the RSP program. So
like a
the registered,
401k. Yeah.
right, the RSP, the RRSP program and the 401k program. The way how those programs work is that it's a deduction. So you've heard of deductions and credits. So a deduction is basically a reduction in your income based on the contributions that you make into the program. So, say for example, someone makes $30,000 in revenue working at a grocery store, and they're able to contribute $1,000 to the RSP program. You're able to invest that $1,000 into an RSP
A
program,
retirement,
a,
registered
a
retirement savings
registered
plan.
retirement program, or a 401k. In Canada, I know for sure that that's eligible for three different things. That's your retirement, your first home, or going back to school. Okay? So when you have that reduction based on the contribution to the RSP or the 401k, your taxable income then becomes $29,000. So now all of your salary that's been paid to you at the $30,000 mark has generated income tax of a certain number, but you've pushed down your taxable income with your RSP contributions. So that difference in what you paid in taxes throughout the year on your payroll versus what your taxable income, that difference is what generates a refund. So what you'll see is a lot of the wealthy people out there will invest a lot into their RSPs so that they push down their taxable income and generate a higher refund, which is all part of the Income Tax Act. So that is something that you can do in order to boost your refund.
Okay, so but the one thing that stuck to that is that you have to have eligible amount. So you have to earn that amount by it used to be about 18% of your income throughout the year. So
Mhm.
that is on your income tax assessment. The paper you get back from your RIS, it tells you that how much room you have to put into the 401k or into your registered retirement savings plan. So
Right.
that number is the number you can use. And what Ryan said when he said, well, when your employer takes taxes to send to the government based on 30,000, but all of a sudden you have the tax benefit from your retirement account, and that difference, exactly what he said, that's what is your refund. No, in Canada, like Ryan said, there's many ways that RSP works for you. You can invest $35,000 towards your first home, something like that now.
Right.
And then you have 15 years, or I think that I'm going to lend me to pay it back to
Right.
not to anybody, but back into the plan. So when you retire, you're going to get that money.
Mhm.
Then you buy your first home with your retirement, part of your retirement money, not all. You also got the tax refund, and now you have it for when you retire. So and you can use it, part of it, to go to school. So you're winning when you do that type of
Mhm.
investment. So what when the person that's coming to you for a tax to have their taxes done, what documents should they have?
Well, there's going to be a lot of documents because
A single person. Let's because this may be a sole proprietor. Those two, a sole
right.
proprietor and a single person. So we educate those two.
Right. So a sole proprietor definitely wants to provide the bank statements to me for their business bank account, also the business saving account and a business credit card. Those credit cards and those business checking accounts and the saving account will allow me to do all the bookkeeping that is necessary for your sole proprietorship, in order to keep track of that. Now, too much income in your sole proprietorship, you definitely want to take a look at whether it's more advantageous for you to get into a corporation
But
and pay lower tax costs.
wouldn't you tell that to the person after you have done the taxes? So this person is a sole
Right,
proprietor.
right, right,
They don't know
right.
that. They'll never figure it out. But when you, the person that has prepared it, strategize with them and say, hey, you should consider that. So
Mhm.
at what level of income do you decide that somebody should become to incorporate their company?
Okay. So because the Canadian tax system and the IRS
A
system,
little different.
uh, on your personal taxes, which is where the sole proprietorship is contained, because that operates on a marginal tax basis, you definitely want to maneuver out of the sole proprietorship when you start earning more than $30,000 or $40,000. Once you start getting into $50,000, the deductions that you'll be able to claim just won't get you into a low enough tax bracket in order to
Benefit you.
minimum to benefit you, right? The tax cost will just be too high.
So at
So
that, so between
yeah,
30 and 40,000, you should consider as a sole proprietor
mhm,
to get into incorporating your business because there's
absolutely.
more, there are a lot more tax benefits for you
Mhm.
on that side.
Absolutely. And the one major thing that's different between the sole proprietorship and the corporation structure is that the corporation structure operates on a margin on an average tax basis, and the average tax basis is approximately 12.5%,
Mhm.
where the marginal tax rates on the sole proprietorship can go up to as much as 33%.
Yeah, so it's
So, you think about it. Is your business something that you're really serious about? And you plan on scaling? Um, and again, and to just reiterate on your last question, someone with personal taxes, now every personal tax is different and you could fall into many different categories. But if you just have employment, you definitely want to provide your T4. You'll want to provide any contributions to a church or a charity.
your RSP.
You'll want RSP deductions as well, your RSP contributions if you have those. And also, if you went to school, you provide your tuition.
Tuition fee.
If you paid rent, you provide your rent that you paid. Medical, dental, optical expenses those are important. If you're a teacher, this year is important for that. You provide your T1198 for that qualified lump sum payment that you received this year from Mr. Rob Ford. Is it Rob Ford or Doug Ford? I forget.
Upfront.
Doug Ford. Okay, sorry. So you want to definitely put that on your return. And any association fees if you're a nurse, you want to put the Ontario College of Nurses. So you want to put that on your tax return for deduction. And if you're a teacher, Ontario College of Teachers.
So, and as a sole proprietorship, you are not, there are people, as you know, and I have seen that have had it for 20 years and getting nowhere. And we have to let people know
Mhm.
that the rich get richer because most people that are wealthy, when they started, maybe a year after they did their first year of business, they incorporated their business. They didn't wait to be wealthy to do that.
Mhm.
It's the process of incorporating your business after the first year you're making $30,000. And even sometimes before you can get there, if you have nice projections and you know where you're
Mhm.
going,
Mhm.
because once you incorporate yourself, you get the same advantages as a company that is already being incorporated. Maybe not all of them, but no, you're on your way to build wealth,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's how you get rich. Staying small when you're just afraid is not the right way to build wealth.
Exactly.
So that is something
Exactly.
we have to remember,
Mhm.
that when we have a sole proprietorship, it's just the beginning, it's the journey, and you have to do other things to make this thing work,
Mhm.
and we must remember to do that. So when you have, skipping your taxes can be detrimental to your finances.
Mm.
Okay, explain that to the point that everybody know, just like it did to this man at the bank that had to pay, lost his home and everything, and he was angry, but it was his fault, right?
Right.
Once the government puts their hand into your account, the bank
Mhm.
cannot tell them you have a mortgage or you have something to pay. The government comes first when you owe them money.
Mhm.
Everybody else falls behind them.
Right.
So do not do something that is wrong and think you're getting away with it. They will catch up with you sooner or later. They do catch up, and sometimes it's really devastating.
Mhm.
What do you do when you have had a customer when you get a new customer that has been cheating on the taxes because of the rules, the person they were doing it? How do you put them back online?
Oh man. So, first of all, I have to go. Part of what people may not know is when you're doing a corporate tax return, you have to rely on the previous accountant's last year's filing of their financial statements in order to roll forward the new file and the new balances on the financial statements. So I can recall one client who's really near and dear to my heart, who had um, a previous accountant that really made a mess of their file. I mean, I say made a mess, like they owed taxes out. They were never educated. Part of what I do, Tessa Marie, because of you and what you've instilled in me, is to empower and educate people
You
with
have
their
to.
taxes, and educate them. So even if you come to me and you don't even like me, at least you go away and you've learned something, and you can test that it's true because you
Yes.
can call the Canada Revenue Agency and they'll tell you the same
Thing.
thing, right? So now, um, I had a client, so a client really near and dear to me. She didn't do her taxes for 3 years in a row. The previous accountant promised that she would do it, promised she would do it, never got around to filing taxes. Now, because she was never educated for all the years that she had her business, she was making mistakes in her regular banking and financial transactions that were detrimental to her taxes being a corporation and also a personal tax filer. Okay. So now when I caught her up with information with the 3 years outstanding taxes, she was quite satisfied with the results. But at the same time, she wouldn't have been assessed the extra taxes if she had been continued to get her taxes done on a regular basis. Because one of the tax penalties that the Canada Revenue Agency charges for not filing your taxes on time is 10% of the taxes owed per year, including accrued
Interest.
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 Including
Is it
interest.
and is it
So if you're a
compounded?
small business and you're behind on your taxes and you're blowing up, you're doing well, you're killing it, you're crushing it, and you're getting a lot of revenue and you're incurring a lot of tax costs. If you do not file your taxes and get compliant with the Canada Revenue Agency, you are going to incur some serious tax costs, and it may even be a conversation of whether you're going to close down your
It
business.
has
Because there is no accountant out there that's willing to put their
their
livelihood
reputation
on the
or
line
their
in order
reputation.
to
Yeah.
shift things around for you, in order for for you to divert taxes so that you can get off the hook. If you have taxes to pay, if you have taxes, the best thing to do is to get caught up with a tax strategist so that that person can put your best interest first and that they can minimize the tax impact, because that 10% penalty for just being late 2 years in a row, two
But
years in a row,
the interest is compounded too. Yeah,
compounded. And even
compound.
Albert Einstein said that compound interest is the most powerful
It is.
source on the planet.
Yeah, it is.
Okay? So if you get a letter from the Canada Revenue Agency saying you need to file your taxes, or maybe you don't even know because you just chucked the mail in the garbage, if you're watching this video, file your taxes.
Yeah,
Okay?
you find a strategist like Ryan,
Yeah.
somebody that has and Ryan, tell them the name of your company and
So
so they can.
the name of my company is Ryan Elliott Professional Services Limited, incorporated in 2021. Been helping people with their taxes since 2008. Graduated Humber College, diploma in accounting, business administration diploma. Graduated Ryerson University when it was called that. Um, and got my degree with accounting focused. And been helping people, man, and I'm just so fired up about changing the dynamic and the perception of taxes out there, because the tax system was created in order for people to use it, in order to hopefully end up in an advantageous position. But cheating the system won't work. So make sure you get a qualified, competent accountant who can communicate with you and tell you what's happening and what they're doing so that you're satisfied and you're knowledgeable and you're not worried about the tax man
Okay, I have something
knocking
to add
on
to
your
that.
door.
I have something, never mind that. I am a firm believer in not allowing Auntie Jesse's second brother from his third wife do your taxes. That is, it doesn't work. It's just not
Right.
work. It's similar to my friend who this week wanted to wire in a doorbell, and her neighbor said he could do it, and he came over and he got shocked, and then she still had to call a
Right.
professional electrician to
Right.
put in wire this,
Right.
whatever she needed to be done.
Right.
This person couldn't do it. So because Auntie Jessie was working in Uncle Henry's hardware store,
Right.
she's not an accountant.
Right.
And in those days where it's electronically done,
Mm-hmm.
get somebody who has the know-how, who is up to date on the information,
Mm-hmm.
revenue, IRS information, Canada revenue information. They change every year.
Absolutely.
They give benefits and they take away certain things and they add and they expand.
Mm-hmm.
In Canada, our taxes are high. It is an what you call incremental tax system, because you go from 17, 24,
Yeah.
30. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but our taxes pay for for healthcare,
Yeah.
for clean water,
Yeah.
for free hospital, free
Yeah.
drugs. A lot
Yeah.
of education up until grade
Right.
12 is free in all the religious schools. You really do not have to, the Catholic, the Protestant, bigger colleges, you go and you still get a discount. The cost is low. You get a government loan that has a really low rate of interest. And sometimes you get grants and sometimes you get forgiveness. If it's in demand, like nurses and doctors, you get money back just because you're in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the tax revenue that runs the country.
Mm-hmm.
And we have
Mm-hmm.
to pay the tax if we want to drive on safe roads and have police officers. So pay your taxes, because in paying your taxes, you are also doing what you're supposed to do. And those of you that are religious and hear it in the scripture,
Mm-hmm.
render to Caesar what is Caesar, Jesus said, and to God what is his own. So do not be holy. I have come across people that are so churchy and holy, and they do not want to pay the taxes. They want you to cheat on their behalf.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so unfair. So seek out Ryan, those of you in Toronto. And if you have questions, send it to him. He's on Instagram and he just told you his name. It will be in there. He put it on again. And get in touch with him, because I wanted to bring him out so that he's young. He's not as old like me. So, and he knows
So young.
I keep abreast of all what we're supposed to do, but that's his daily thing. And as you know, finance is 20% of the 5 pillars of prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big part.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have it, you cannot have the experiences you would normally want to have. So if you can get refund money, what do you recommend, Ryan, when somebody, that's my part, but I'm throwing it at you. When somebody gets a refund, if you were to give an advice to one of your single or couple, and not a business, because you do family and single too. What would you recommend? Because the people on TikTok a lot of them might be single on Instagram too. What do you recommend they do with that tax refund?
Absolutely. So, I see this a lot, and I think the best thing to do is if you're in a situation where you're paying rent and you're young and you're starting out, I definitely would look at putting money aside into RSPs and then taking the refund and put into the RSP again. Think about it, guys. Like if you're able to put into your RSP program, and it's very easy. All you have to do is open the bank app. Everyone has a bank app.
Yep.
Log into the bank app, log in, hit the connect button, and just ask the investment department to withdraw $96 every biweekly paycheck if you can afford it. Go up and
And they
down from that
will go
from
for
that number,
everything
but
$5
$96 works out to $2,500
a
in
year.
RSP contributions a
Yeah.
year. That's good enough for a modest income to get a refund that you put back in to your RSP, generate another refund as well as your additional contributions throughout the year, put
It's a
it back into your
win-win.
RSP,
Win-win.
and you pay attention to what it is that you're spending throughout the year so you can continue to contribute. And remember, don't withdraw from the RSP before you buy the
No,
house.
it's
Now,
for
when
the
you're
house.
ready and your balance gets it to a good enough amount, and we're assuming here that your income will continue to rise gradually
Hmm.
over the time that you're doing this, and that you'll be able to qualify for your first home.
Yeah.
And that's for a lot of people out there. They don't know that specific strategy, and some of them don't have that specific grit or grind to be able to do that for the amount of time it takes to get there. So people really have to focus when it comes to having their first home and qualifying and having the down payment. Okay, you can get an RSP loan to get the down payment as well, but definitely being balanced with your
Your own money.
finances is important.
Hmm.
And you should definitely think about equity instead of renting because you're just making someone else rich.
But
Why
listen to
not
them.
get the equity so you can
You
pass
can,
down to
yeah.
your family? You can, take the equity out to invest in a business, repair the house, and just live in something that you own,
Yeah, have your
you
own
know?
home. Brian, I need to ask a question. $96 every penny is sometimes unattainable for others,
Hmm.
but they can do as much as they can do, that they can do $20 a pay to
Hmm.
start.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Right,
you do not have to do it yourself. It's automatically set up
right.
for you by your
Absolutely.
bank. They will
Absolutely.
set it up for you. You do not have that is the one time you get the bank to work for you.
Exactly.
When they
So, for example,
automatically
like
take
all
it,
these
tell
people
them.
out there that say, for example, this $96 is unattainable. Okay, let's
You can
start
have.
off with $26.
Yeah.
Okay, people can do $13 a week,
Yeah.
$26
Hmm.
bi-weekly. It comes out, you don't even see it,
That's
right?
right.
Now, what happens to that new laptop that you bought on Boxing Day and Christmas that was being financed for a year? If you pay that off, the money that you're paying against the finance for that laptop can now be put
That's a
towards
win-win.
the RSP and increase that based on the payments that you no longer have to pay for that
That's
laptop. So
right.
now you're paying maybe $46, maybe $76
Yeah.
bi-weekly, right? So now you're able to continue to maneuver and you're putting money aside. Okay, maybe okay, great. I'm working from home right now for my business, for my employment. They issued a mandate. We're able to work at home 3 days a week. So that extra $20 or $40 I'm paying in gas, guess what?
Bus.
I'm gonna up
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
RSP $20 bi-weekly because I'm saving $20, $40 a month. So that
Hmm.
becomes $20 bi-weekly that I can put on top of my RSP. And whenever you find savings, adjust that number because the goal is to put enough money into that RSP so you can buy your first home, go back to school, or retire.
So the
So,
point of the what Ryan is sharing with us today, guys, is tips and tactics with your taxes. This is the tax month. It's finished in the United States, but those of you who are still haven't filed, get on it and file so you are
mhm,
not punished or you're not get a penalty or think of the things you're missing out. If the government owes you money and you do not file, that is like leaving your money on the ground.
yeah,
You just walked over it. Come on,
mhm,
who wants to say they want to leave the money there? Go collect that money and your refund, you should save it. Put
mhm,
it in your registered retirement savings plan, your 401k.
mhm,
And, and just keep doing that. Every step you make to salt money away, to preserve your money, it shows that you're keeping more of your after-tax income.
Mm.
So, and go to a reliable tax person. Be aware. As I said, do not go to your cousin's brother, father, and the neighbor next door. They do not have all the information. They might have a software and they do it. But what are you leaving on the table? Ryan is a strategist. He knows the thing. He has the right type of software. He will guide you to doing this. So taxes is important because it's money you're leaving on the table. Who does that? You need, even your tax bill is, okay, let's say you're single and you have one child, the benefits you get from filing your taxes, the government gives you money, literally gives you money for that child, that human, and you're not filing. I'm too busy. Like Jason said, I have no time. It's like the dog ate my homework when you were a kid. Come on, the dog is not eating your homework. So go file your taxes. Talk to Ryan. He will give you guidance and expect you have to pay him because he's working for you and he's giving you the best thing, but you will not be unhappy. Those other people I've talked to have gone to Ryan are people that they come back, oh my God, I didn't know he could do all of that. And that is important. Do not trust the guy that hasn't got a shirt, that hasn't done his taxes to tell you where to go get your taxes done. You know that is crazy. So, Ryan, what is your last thing to say to them? We've been on for a little bit less than an hour, a few minutes.
Okay. I just want to encourage everyone to work with the both of us. We are two people in two different areas with two different specialties. And, pick up the 5 pillars of
Pick it up.
prosperity.
Pick
Pick it
it up.
up. Pick it
And
up.
this one too, this book
And
together too.
Controlling the Debt
Yeah,
Monster. They're
that
fabulous
will
books.
that
Fabulous
will
books.
really help you.
Listen, if you want to change your life, you've always wondered, what is that secret sauce? When you go to the restaurant and they put out secret sauce at the house blend,
Yes.
that's exactly what Tessa-Marie is, and that's exactly what I am when it
I
comes to taxes.
trained Ryan
Yes.
on just getting it's not, it wasn't on finance, well, it wasn't, but on business, no. It was just putting the 5 pillars together. And so if all your interest is to make money, you're leaving 80% of opportunities to be successful on the table, because finance is there, it's one of the pillars. But look at the other pillars. You have mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And we all know Ryan kind of went there and then he didn't. We look at all these successful movie stars and all these successful singers, and they do make millions and millions and millions. And then all of a sudden, emotionally, they kill themselves or they need something else. They're not getting it. So finance is lovely. It is important. It is part of the 5 pillars, but you have to be emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually balanced to live a successful life. And that's why no matter what I do, I always bring somebody that I know that has more expertise than me in another part of finance. Although finance is my thing, that's where I started. But I developed that type of thing, and knowing Ryan is right there, and I know he has the care that he would give to you that another accountant will just the other accountant might be doing it. If you doubt me, check out the accountant that you go to. Does he look physically fit? Or is he just doing it for the money? Give me the money, $20, $40, the money. And is he living a fulfilled life? Or is he only working on financial prosperity? And the other 4 pillars, the 80% he's leaving behind, he's not taking care of that 80%. You do not want somebody like that to help you get to live a fulfilled life. You want somebody, when you take a look at them, you can see that their physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial is all okay. When your accountant is unable to get off the chair to come to say goodbye to you, hey man, come on. What you frequent is what you become. Right. And you have to make sure you pay the government their money and make sure you incorporate as soon as you can, So you can take advantage of all these benefits a person who has incorporated their business can get. So we went for an hour, and I don't know, Ryan, how you felt about it. I hope it benefited you, because I
Absolutely.
wanted you to get something, and then you can use it, and the brand will have clips and shots made out from this video. So knock
Absolutely.
yourself out.
Absolutely. So please, everybody go to ryanelliott.ca. Get your free tax checklist. Even if it's
Yeah.
too late for you to use it this year, definitely use it for next year, because what it does is that it scours the Canadian tax system for tax credits and deductions that may be applicable to you, that you can use to put more money in your pocket. Okay? So if what your previous accountant is doing is just treating you like a transaction,
Number.
and you're
Next.
out the door and on to the next one,
Yeah.
I think it's probably time for you to move on, because I actually give you the time and the care that you need in order to accomplish all the goals that you desire for your business or for your career.
Another thing I would ask is that if you know somebody in your group that hasn't a friend or family that hasn't done their taxes, encourage them to do the taxes. Even if they owe the government money, it's best they do the taxes. And the government can make arrangements sometimes how you pay if you can't pay it all together. And that way you will not incur a penalty for not filing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
so do not
Mm-hmm.
sit around and think this is just for today.
Right.
Tax
Mm-hmm.
filing is important no matter what country you live in the world.
Mm-hmm.
This tax, you have to file a tax, get the right person. As I said, if your accountant is telling you he's rich, and when he's talking to you and his belly is hanging over the desk, he cannot get up to shake your hands when you're leaving or to say goodbye, to open the door for you, he is not living with the 5 pillars of prosperity. Obviously, it's only financial. But you, to live a fulfilled life, you have to be emotionally balanced, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Do not cheat the government, because you can't cheat them. They mightn't find out on Tuesday, but by next Friday, they'll be down your throat. How are you going to feel now? And if you owe the government money and you cheated, drum roll for this one, they can garnish your wages. They can go straight to your employer. And listen to me, as much as you are a valuable employee to that employer, he does not have a choice to say, I will not send the money to the government. Otherwise, he gets fined.
Right.
So he has to take the money and send to the government. No matter how great you are, you could be his brother. If he does that, he will get fined and he could lose his business. So make sure you understand those things. It's important.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Ryan, on closing? Are we done? We did an hour. So how are you guys feeling about this? On TikTok, I know you guys are coming in. TikTok is so tiny, Ryan. You cannot see the people who are here. But
Okay.
this is very educational, somebody said. So many likes. Whoa. So Makasa gave us a like the live. So she liked the live.
Awesome.
Like the live. We got a lot of likes.
Okay.
When we have a topic, guys, on TikTok, and if you want to have a live with me, you have to send me a note before and tell me, Tessa-Marie, can we talk about this? It might be something you like, that you know, or a topic you're interested in that you know I can feed yourself and others.
Right.
Then you can come on the live.
Right.
But when you ask somebody who's doing a live to put you on and they do not know what you're going to talk about, it's not fair to them.
Right.
And it's not that I know you, I see you, but we can plan that for another time. Same,
Absolutely.
same. It's like Ryan and I planned this today. Yeah. And so today we know it's not. We'll do this again whenever
Absolutely.
Ryan
Have me back on again,
yeah. So
Tessa-Marie.
we can do it again. Maybe this is Easter weekend. Many people are already celebrating Easter, but I promise every Saturday I'll do it. So I'm not going to ever break my promise, and I'm going to show up, no matter who shows up.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so thank you, Ryan.
Okay. Thank you for hearing my story, everyone. Back on to the next one, everyone.
Yeah,
Have a
bye,
good week, Easter
guys.
long weekend.
I'm going to let Ryan go, and Ryan, I'll send it to you, and then you can do whatever you need. So bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Okay.
And
Bye.
okay, bye-bye, guys.